So as we say, we all have responsible tech roles to play in the ecosystem. So the idea here is, quick round robin to talk a little bit about how we all came to All Tech is Human, what we're doing. Oh yeah, everyone turn your mics on and just keep them on. We're good. So talk a little bit about the roles that we play in the ecosystem and how you came to All Tech is Human, how you came to responsible tech. But also, I'm so excited to hear a little bit more about your paths and maybe non-linear paths to All Tech is Human and to responsible tech. So as I talked about a little bit, I had a lot of interdisciplinary hats. And I know, Bobby, you wear many hats. And including affiliate, university ambassador, working group participant, mentee, and you're also a very interdisciplinary English major to CS major, correct? So tell us a little bit about your path to All Tech is Human.
I mean, you summed it up pretty well, but those are the highlights. But hi, everyone, thanks for being here. I started out doing English, political science, and education, and I was really passionate about inequality, specifically through the lens of education policy and institutions more generally. And also, I'm Greek, and the first thing I did after graduation is I lived abroad for a year in Greece, which was really cool. And when I was coming back, looking at things to do to come back to the States, when I was applying to things, people kept asking me, okay, so what about your technical experience? And I would say things like, well, I took statistics in undergrad and I think I did okay. And they would say,
it counts.
Right, I thought that it counted. And people would say, no, like technical experience. And I'm like, what are you, I don't know, I feels like there's a code that I'm missing or something. So just keeping abreast of where everyone else's career trajectories were going and keeping active on LinkedIn, I saw that there was a very specific kind of technical experience that people were looking for. And I said, I know that I want to do this kind of work at the intersection of international policy and program analysis, program management. So I said, let's do the homework and let's go get the technical skills, the quote unquote technical skills. So Northeastern has this really cool program where you can start from basically zero if you can prove that you're not afraid of numbers. And in 3 years, you'll finish with a master's degree alongside other computer science students who just direct entry started. And then, so I was a university ambassador, as you said, and on the job board, on the Responsible Tech job board, is where I found my current role at the Manhattan DA's office. I'm not a lawyer. I have nothing to say about the case, but I'll just get that out of the way. So that's where I now do product management and digital transformation.
Thank you. See, success, this is how we measure impact. A job. You got a job.
I did. I am employed.
That's what we like to hear. Okay. Next up, I want to go to Emma because you were, you're in the early stages of your career. Another university network touch point. So can you say a little bit about your touch points with the university network, but also your work in research?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me. As you can probably guess from the accent, I'm not American, I'm actually French. And what, you seem really impressed. Just thank my parents for that. So Steven Keltz posted, so I was following his work on previous research projects.
Steven, where are you at?
Yeah, he's hiding somewhere.
He's back there.
The work that he had done on some previous research projects, and I saw that they were starting this campaign to trying to find some student that could be potentially interested in this university network program that they had going on at All Tech is Human. So I reached out to him to ask if he would potentially be interested in having some contacts abroad, and he was like, yeah, sure, 100%. So the discussion just really started from there, and that has been my main point of contact with All Tech is Human. Then I got into the Slack. I discovered that there was this wonderful place of people posting, I don't know how many posts every day for jobs, for content, for look my blog post, and does somebody has any advice on what type of questions they're asking at whatever company they're applying to. So that was definitely really interesting. The university network itself is quite young. We are still trying to come up with some ways we could potentially engage and gain more presence on campuses across the globe. How do you motivate people and young people to get together? But there's something that we're talking about with Stephen a little bit sooner this day, is that the university network, the goal is really try to connect students between them and also with people at different stages of their career. So, as you said, I've just finished my master's in political economy. I'm starting a research program in AI beginning of September. So it's just like this, well, I'm looking for internships and I'm trying to understand what's research like in the US, and I'm trying to talk with people that have gone through those same experiences and ask themselves some similar questions to mine. And it's just about connecting those people together.
Can you say a little bit about your research approach? I know you're working with a friend of All Tech is Human, Camille Francois.
I've just started. She's the best. So my master's thesis was on OSINT techniques and how, but more specifically, how different spheres talk about them and how the way you talk about a specific set of skills actually has an impact on a policy level, on a research level, and how those spheres are going to be able to connect and understand each other's on like what's their stance, what are policymakers saying about OSINT and what the challenges OSINT is raising, and on the other side, what are journalists actually thinking that the challenges that they're facing on a day-to-day basis. Anyways, I finished my master's thesis, I defended it, and Camille Francois is one of the biggest names that we have currently in the space for anything related to cybersecurity and understanding what's misinformation and what's happening on the cyberspace. But most importantly, this intersections between a very technical background and as well as a very good understanding of political science, political economy, et cetera, et cetera. So I got in touch with her. I just started spamming her as much as I could. She got back to me. We really recently started, so it's not like an official internship or anything like that. It's just Margot, who's with her denim jacket on the corner, worked on a project with Camille Francois. They released a database that's on SIPA's website, and so we've just been working on that lately for the past month. So it's you're making it sound like a very big deal.
Oh no! But
I'm stressing out. Like I just heard the report.
SIPA at Columbia,
at
correct?
Columbia, yeah, correct.
Great. Well, so but it's a good example of just how many opportunities and the range of formality to informality and like opportunities to say like we're talking about the same questions, and so like how do we deploy resources towards answering those questions, whether it's from a policy perspective or a social science perspective, et cetera. So thank you for being here. Next up, we have Lemma.
Hi.
So Lemma is an affiliate. Tell us more about your contributions to All Tech is Human. Yeah, we need a fist bump over here.
Focus.
Affiliate. A special new program. So inaugural affiliates, right? Yes, cool. So yeah, tell us about your path to responsible tech and it sounds like you've done a lot of contributions to our reports as well. So
yeah,
go at it.
I guess like you said earlier, there is no one linear path to responsible tech. I think I was always impacted by technology, but I never really knew until I was in university. So, I'm a first generation Muslim American. I, grew up in the US post 9/11 and sort of experience some of these, harmful effects of surveillance, but I didn't know that privacy was afforded to different people in different communities. I was super young. And, like my two friends here, I also lived abroad for, half of my adolescence in countries where, you didn't really have the First Amendment. And so a lot of people were just beginning to use social media as a means to practice dissent. And so I was always sort of in touch with it, but I didn't really see the connection with overarching human rights. So when I came back to the US, I was like, I'm going to be an international human rights lawyer, go to different countries and save the world. And then ultimately I took an IR class and I was like, everything's sort of focused from an American perspective, but not really the global perspective. How do I have the right to come into another country and tell someone how to do their democracy my way? Seems a little imperialist when we have so many other issues in the US regarding police brutality, housing, voter rights, And I thought there would be better to focus on domestic policy, but I wasn't really sure what area. And so I went to school in DC, and we do watch C-SPAN for fun. That is a thing. And I just so happened to be watching, Mark Zuckerberg testify for the first time regarding Cambridge Analytica.
Hot takes. I
Senator,
remember
we
those
sell
photos.
ads.
I remember those photos. Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, okay, I want to be a policymaker. I want to be a policy analyst. Technology looks like it's going to be the next big thing that impacts democracy. How do I get ahead of that? I don't know what tech really is. And so I got a minor in computer science and information systems and technology. And I was like, forget it, I'm going to learn how to code. And my main major was actually called interdisciplinary studies in comms, econ, law, and government. So I took classes in all those things, and I didn't really have a focus, but I ultimately knew that I wanted to focus it on tech. So in my policy classes, I would be doing things in tech, and in my tech classes, I would be focusing on, policy and legal and ethical issues. I remember my comp sci peers were like, no, robots can't be racist. I'm like, yeah, they can.
What are we optimizing for, folks?
I'm getting flashbacks.
Technology is not neutral. And I was a senior during the pandemic. Very few people had been vaccinated, and I didn't know how to actually enter the field. And I think someone sent me a Twitter list, back when we called it Twitter, of influencers in the public interest tech space. And I found David, and I was like, seems like a cool org. Let me join the Slack group. And there were maybe 200 people. And I've sort of been engaged ever since.
Early adopter.
Early adopter, yes. Which is a hot take, so I'm usually not. And everything kind of grew from there. I knew that I wanted to be an expert and a subject matter expert in this area. The tech policy world tends to lack women who look like me, and so I wanted to sort of break that glass ceiling. And so I knew that I needed to take advantage of all the opportunities possible to make my name and my voice. Hence, I appreciate all the opportunities All Tech is Human gave me to write and to be interviewed and to be here and to actually be a representative for all the other young people of color to be like, okay, yeah, you can actually do this. There's a space for you here. And let's make tech not racist, please.
Period.
Yeah.
It is, moment of recognition for that. But also moment of recognition for the interdisciplinary badasses on this stage here. It's not easy. Let's be real. Next up, Claire, you're in that interdisciplinary transitional space, coming from film and journalism, and landing in XR, VR. So tell us more about your path to the tech world by way of journalism and by way of the mentorship program, and this another good example of the nonlinear trajectory that we all kind of seem to share here.
Yeah, I come from a very different background. I studied film, did some production, did business-oriented things, moved into journalism. And as the media industry, particularly journalism, has just really, begun imploding on itself, even more with AI now, kind of diving in, I decided I wanted to work in more interactive and immersive media. So I became involved with an ethical XR nonprofit, which is about, creating emerging technology like wearables, like VR, different kind of interactive technology, gaming. I started working with that group really on the kind of ethics and building that so it serves humans and it's sustainable and not just exploitative. So I began working with that nonprofit, and I kind of discovered All Tech is Human and this bigger world of responsible technology and human-centered technology. So I really wanted to become involved with All Tech is Human. I've done so many different things. Kind of the most exciting first thing was working on a tech and democracy report a couple years ago. I was one of the writers on a chapter about digital revolution and digital governance. So that was a really great way to get started with All Tech is Human. Just kind of dive in, volunteer, build a space for yourself. It's a great way to learn, a great way to get back, great way to network. So that was sort of how I started out, then going to mixers, watching a lot of online panels, working on another couple working groups, including right now a responsible tech curriculum, doing a unit on tech policy. So just, really fun, but it's more of a personal passion side project. It's not my career. My career is more in kind of tech marketing space. But I did enter the mentorship program this past year because I wanted, to find a certain structure and framework to really study and dive into a project. So I'm working with an amazing mentor, Diane Cheng. She's not here, but she works in AI, UX, I think. And with her, I've sort of distilled my vision of what I want to be writing about and what I want to be studying within the All Tech is Human community. And that is to really just kind of raise some awareness about what's going on with these emerging technologies that aren't really, mainstream right now, but are coming down the line. And they actually are going to be quite influential when you talk about data privacy and you start tracking human heart rate and you start studying eye tracking and all these different things. Like, this is just very important data. And then moderation in the space also that are going to become central issues, in several years. So I wanted that to become part of the conversation, just kind of raise awareness so people know, when these AI meta glasses are coming out from Ray-Ban, they have a little bit more of an idea about what's going on there. So I'm working on a project right now through the mentorship program, working on some articles. And I've really been engaging the community I'm part of, the XR Ethics Organization. I organize meetings in New York. And last week, we kind of did a brain dump on what issues we want to talk about to the more mainstream tech community. And I'm doing some workshops and interviewing people to really get a collective kind of concept of this stuff, to inject it into this conversation. And it's very niche, obviously, what I'm involved in. But if anyone here is interested in that, please feel free to talk to me, because it's a very difficult space to break into and put in a lot of hard work. But it's really kind of a fun, exciting place to be. And it's been great working with All Tech is Human and having the ability to bring these conversations together and participate so much.
I love that, because it's such a good example of, this is the network of networks. It's about having these connection points and these opportunities for, connecting with somebody who is a journalist and who became a product manager. Is that right, Diane? Yeah. And so yet another example of somebody kind of meandering through this path of curiosity, as Sandra said before, and kind of tackling the most pressing questions as they arise. So I know we have a lot of more networking to do and more drinking to do, but I want to leave us with all one hot tip for anyone who is trying to get involved with responsible tech, who is looking to start participating more, contributing more. So I want to go down the line this way. One hot tip for anyone in the room who is wanting to dabble and get a little deeper with All Tech is Human and responsible tech.
Yeah, I sort of mentioned it, which is just volunteer, put yourself out there, start working on projects, even if you don't know much about them. But people really appreciate your participation and your interest. So that's a fantastic way to learn and get involved. And also networking on LinkedIn. I mean, you mentioned that you did some outreach and it turned into this great opportunity. So, networking, reaching out to anyone, because who knows, and
Great.
Participating.
Emma?
Okay, so besides obviously joining the Slack network that we have going on with University Network,
Join the Slack. Join the Slack.
So I think that it's one of the greatest tips that I have gotten is that for any student in the room, don't only aim at people at senior positions, but try to aim at people at different stages of their career. Try to find someone who's just 3 years ahead of you, 5 years ahead of you. And the field is changing so much and so fast that it's great to have a better idea of what are the different pathways to get to the position that you want to get into. So yeah, don't focus on the top manager. Try to find who's the graduate student, who's the postdoc, who's the PhD student, and work your way up there. And that way you will be able to have a much better understanding of the ecosystem and be able to take a step back and better understand what's going on.
That's great, because it's all about the pathways, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Lemma.
I would say contribute to the next report, whether as an editor or a writer. I think that's a really great way to build your authority and accountability and just start your subject matter expertise, just because you get a platform and a publication to your name. That's always great for internships and jobs. But I will say for the younger people in the room, I think I'm about to be 25, which is crazy, but my frontal lobe. But I think the thing that I've taken away,
She's a baby.
the thing that I've taken away now that I'm like entering my mid-20s is it's okay to steer away from the playbook. Like I was someone who had like a 10-year plan. I was going to go to law school immediately after undergrad, and I was going to do this thing and that thing. And I just said yes to every opportunity that came my way instead. And, I shifted around the 5 to 10 year plan, and I'm still shifting it around. And I think there were so many opportunities that I was able to do, like this affiliates program and like my current job, because I just said yes to the thing that came my way. And school's always going to be there. You don't have to do everything the right way. You don't have to do the things that your parents want, like for all the immigrant kids in the room. But I think it's okay to say, like, this is the time to say yes. And if something, and also like apply to that job, apply to that internship. Don't count yourself out, as Sandra said. So I think that those are my hot tips.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Bobby,
Cool.
lead us out.
I will. I'll lead you with 2 micro tips, like really micro ones. The first is be delusional. I'm serious. Like if you in your head say, I belong in this space and like I'm gonna act like I belong here and then go into the next interview, go into the next networking call like you do belong there, you've already done half the work. And the second is, like, even though I did a 3-year master's program in computer science and, I was the one in the back, like, trying to figure out how to do algorithms, and I felt really weird and out of place, I don't recommend people do that now because the field has changed so much from when I got there in 2019. Like, I don't think that to break into any particular tech field, you need to do the legwork of fundamentals of algorithms, fundamentals of like computer systems design. I just think that the field has changed, and so what really matters is, to quote Kamala, you exist in the context of all in which you live. And I've been waiting for that.
Okay, Coconut.
Sorry. But no, like, look at what's in front of you and say, okay, like, where has my life brought me so far? And like, what are the opportunities that are right here? And what I asked myself when I decided to pivot was, like, where's the world telling me that it needs me? And the world was telling me that it needed me here in responsible tech. And I said, cool, like I can do all the other dreams that I had when I was younger, which one of them was being a journalist, actually.
Oh my God, me too.
Okay,
yes.
all right. So that's one like detour path you can go through. But yeah, all those things can still be part of my life, but where does the world need me right now? And I think that's the question that I keep asking myself. Yeah.
I love that so much, and I can't say it better than that. So let's leave it at that. Where does the world need you right now? And let's all figure that out together so that we can solve these problems. I think, yeah. All right, thank you to my panelists. Big, huge thank you to Claire, to Emma, to Lemma, and to Bobby. Thank you.